on the southeast of the Asian continent, tucked in the Himalayas, is one of the world's most enigmatic countries, Bhutan. The land with a unique concept called gross national happiness. Here, everyone is quick to smile and laughter. What is it that makes this small country, yet insulated from the gains of globalization, one of the happiest places on earth? It's a place where wealth is not the guarantee to happiness, where wisdom is developed with compassion, where consciousness continues after death. The place that has in the true sense achieved a collective nirvana. In Bhutan, you don't have to adopt the life of a sannyasi or monk to attain nirvana. In this land of giving, everyone, the ordinary labor, the shopkeeper, the businessman, the king, has an equal chance of attaining nirvana. That is the basic belief of Mahayana Buddhism, the religion that forms the core of this country's beliefs and culture.
In Bhutan, whatever culture we have, religion plays a very important role because our recorded history of our culture begins with the religion.
Go by the history, the first advent of Buddhism in general, in particular to Bhutan, goes back to the 8th century during the visit of Guru Padmasambhava. Guru Padmasambhava, with a host of Indian scholars, translated volumes of the Buddhist teachings into the Tibetan language, and that's the foundation actually.
Hundreds of years after these early initiations, Bhutan managed to retain its distinct religious and cultural identity. Surviving many political and cultural invasions, by the 16th century, Bhutan had flourished as a uniquely Buddhist nation by adopting the Drukpa Kagyu order of Tibetan Mahayana Buddhism.
Drukpa Kagyu order is one of the 4 major Himalayan Buddhist traditions which we have in this world. And of course, when we talk about the Kagyupa, which has also 4 majors and 8 minors, then Drukpa Kagyu is the one. Drukpa Kagyupa is the state religion of Bhutan. Tradition has been driving force in this country, and majority of the people practice it.
Drukpa is a Tantra dragon. The meaning is in our Tibetan or Bhutanese language. Kagyu is the name of the Ka means order, Ju means a follower or lineage, orders of Mahamudra teachings.
Considered to be one of the Sarma or new schools of Tibetan Buddhism, the Drukpa lineage traces the origin of its transmission to Vajradhara, the manifestation of the supreme essence of Buddhahood. In the Drukpa school, the word Kagyu means lineage of instructions. Today, when a Bhutanese Buddhist performs his daily morning prayer, he starts it by thanking all the lineage masters who have passed on the faith to him in his purest and most ascetic manner. And one of the first few he pays remembrance to are Tilopa and Naroba, the 2 great saints who belong to the neighboring country of India.
There are 84 Mahasiddhas, renowned Mahasiddhas in India. And out of them, Tilopa and Naropa are, like the sun and the moon. And for the Kagyu tradition, and especially like for the Drukpa Kagyu tradition, they are the founding fathers of the Kagyu tradition. Kagyu tradition actually came down from the primordial Buddha Vajradhara. And this was the teaching, the teaching was directly received by Tilopa from the Buddha Vajradhara.
कहते हैं कि तेलोपा ने साक्षात वज्रधर भूत से ही उन्होंने ये सारे चारों तंत्रों के जो शिक्षा दीक्षा लिए थे। वो लेने के बाद वो तांत्रिक धर्मों के बहुत ही विज्ञान यानी प्रख्यात विद्वान बने।
Naroba was the disciple of Tilopa who received the complete Mahamudra teachings from Tilopa.
What is Mahamudra? There probably is no greater gift from the treasury of Indian spirituality than this remarkable yoga of the mind. The distinctive feature of Mahamudra is meditation without a reference point. The mind itself is taken as the meditator's object.
The tradition of Nrupa Kajupa is more focused on the meditation methods and how you look at it, and then they practice it.
Meditation means to stabilize our own mind and also to see the state of our own mind. So the first one, stabilizing our own mind, is actually is the shamatha meditation, and then the second one, to see the state of our own mind, our own consciousness, is the vipassana.
In his song of Mahamudra, Tilopa attempted to put the great inimitable concept of Mahamudra in words for his disciple. Mahamudra is beyond all words and symbols, but for you, Naroba, earnest and loyal, must this be said. The void needs no reliance. Mahamudra rests on naught. Without making an effort, but remaining loose and natural, one can break the yoke, thus gaining liberation.
The Mahamudra tradition actually looks at your mind directly, and then because you only have the mind to practice with, so it acts like a catalyst to get enlightenment faster. Actually, by this Mahamudra tradition, you can gain enlightenment within one lifetime.
You can find in Ladakh the Lama Yuru monastery. Know that is a very important origin place of Mahamudra teachings in Ladakh. Like a Lama Yuru, as I said, there's an origin cave of Naroba who really attained the enlightenment in that place. So that's why, as I said, they enshrined that cave in Lama Yuru temple.
In Bhutan, what we call the Narochudu, there are 6 branches of meditation and level of practice of Drupa Kaju, and that he was the main propounder of Narochudu, and it's named after him.
Usually we call it as the 6 yogas of Naroba. Actually, the teaching was given by Tilopa to Naroba, but because Naroba have propagated that teaching, and also he have magnified the teaching, that it began to be called as the teaching of Naroba.
And the practice, of course, has to be learned from a teacher, because it is very important, because we all Buddhists believe, especially Mahayana Buddhists, that book knowledge alone is not enough. You must have the guidance and the ordination and oral traditions from a teacher. That is important.
It is this key to ultimate liberation that drew many scholars towards these already enlightened masters, forming a lineage of teachers and students who eventually transported these great teachings to Tibet. The Tibetan master Marpa was appointed by Naroba as his successor in Tibet. Naroba prophesied that his lineage would prosper considerably in the land of snow.
And then the Tibetan masters, Marpa, is one of the great, teachers. So he visited India at that time. He received the complete teachings from them, from Naroba.
कश्मीर का 2-3 बार विज़िट किया, या इंडिया में 2-3 बार विज़िट किया, नेपाल से होकर के। फिर उन्होंने ये कग्युत्पा का सिस्टम जो है या ऑर्डर जो है तिब्बत में इंट्रोड्यूस किया।
उनके कई जो शिष्य होते थे, जैसे कि गम्पोपा है, मिलारेपा है, फिर उसके बाद जो फगमोड्रुपा है, तो फगमोड्रुपा के कई शिष्य होते हैं। तो उन शिष्यों ने अलग अलग एक संप्रदाय के जो स्थापित किए थे, उनमें से एक ड्रुक्पा करग्युत के नाम से भी जाना जाता है।
The Drukpa teachings hence continued in an unbroken lineage of enlightened masters and their adepts in Tibet. However, this order was formally established only in the 11th century in western Tibet by Sangpa Gyare Yeshe Dorji, the enlightened Lama who mastered the Mahamudra and 6 yogas of Naroba at an early age. Sangpa Gyare was prophesied in numerous texts and recognized as the indisputable emanation of Naropa.
The name actually was introduced by Sangpa Gyare Yeshe Dorji in the 11th centuries, Drukpa Kagyu school.
When he came to look for a place to build his headquarters, the temple, he had seen 9 dragons in the valley, and as soon as the group came there, the dragons, they rised in the sky, and then they began to fly in different directions, making the sound.
The sounding, the thunder dragon, so it's a good omen. He took as a good omen.
उन्होंने ये सोचा कि इस स्थान पर यदि कुछ हम विहार का स्थापना करें तो हमारे जो है ये ड्राम जो है चारों दिशाओं में हर जगह, जैसे कि ड्रैगन का जो है आवाज़ हर जगह सुनाई देते हैं, इस तरह से प्रफुल्लित होगा.
So henceforth he set up his headquarters there, and then his tradition also began to be called as Druk.
Although widely known as Drukchen Rinpoche, the proper title of this enlightened Lama was Gyalwang Drukpa. All successive Gyalwang Drukpas were considered as incarnations of Naropa. History also records that all these lineage holders of the Drukpa were very learned scholars, although their greatest achievement was in the exercise of meditation.
The first Gyalwang Drukpa is the Tsangpa Gyare, and then the second, third, the fourth is we call it Kunchen Pema Kapo. He's also one of the very, very great master, and he gave a lot of teaching. So he became one of the greatest master in our lineage.
उनके जो है 2 अवतार हुए थे, तो एक जो है अपने तिब्बत में जहाँ उन्होंने मठ बनाया हुआ था वहाँ बैठ के वहाँ धर्म का उपदेश देते थे, साधना करते थे. दूसरा जो है तिब्बत की दक्षिण की ओर आ गए थे. तिब्बत की दक्षिण की ओर भूटान पड़ते हैं, तो वहाँ आके उन्होंने अपना जो है धर्म का वहाँ प्रचार किया, वहाँ प्रसार किया, तो वहाँ मठ बनाया था. तो उनको हम कहते हैं ड्रुक गावांग नामग्याल बोलते हैं.
So Shabdrung Ngawang Namgyal, he came to Bhutan and he established our Drukpa Kagyu lineage here in Bhutan.
Shabdrung really unified Bhutan as one kingdom as it is today when he came down here in 1616. Before that, actually, in Drukpa Kagyupa tradition came to Bhutan much earlier, a few hundred years earlier.
He just reintroduced and expanded Drukpa Kagyupa school.
During his reign, Shabdrung Ngawang Namgyal ordered the construction of many monasteries and zongs throughout Bhutan, many of which are still standing. This combination of civil, religious and defensive functions became the model for all of Bhutan's later zongs.
He was the one who set up a system for governance. We call it the dual system of governance. And then, so for these reasons, the zongs were built in different, like here in the capital, in different capitals of the district, in each district capitals. But there are certain zongs which are built in the border area. These are specifically for protection, but because that's where the administration is housed, so therefore it needs to be protected.
It was during Shabdrung's time that a friendship of an unusual kind started to develop between the valley of Bhutan and the desert of Ladakh. Ladakh, the land of freezing high barren landscapes in the Indian state of Jammu and Kashmir, was a place that was most unlike Bhutan in its terra firma, topography and climate. But the souls of these places couldn't have been more alike. Very much like Bhutan, Ladakh is a land ruled by forces of goodness, a place of peace, non-violence and spirituality, where the ravages of time and history have been held back. The two lands were yet unconnected by road, but spiritually they shared the strongest connection that traced back many ages. And the common link binding them was Naroba and an inherent faith in his teachings.
The Ladakhi King Neema Namgyal in the 15th century, he was ruling this area. He has the spontaneous faith, inborn faith in the Drukpa Karyutpa. For that, he makes try to find the relation with Bhutan.
We have the story that Shabdrung was approached by the delegation sent by Neema Namgyal, and there was a request for some of his teachers and also himself to come to Ladakh.
वो आ नहीं सका, फिर उन्होंने अपना प्रतिनिधि यहाँ भेजा. उस सीट का नाम था छोजे मुगजिन. नेमा नमग्याल ने जो है ज़मीन जो है उनको ऑफर किया था. तो सर्वप्रथम उन्होंने अभी तगना मोनास्ट्री है, तगना मठ बनाया था.
Stagna, or the Tiger's Nose Monastery, established by Choje Mugzin, became the main seat of the southern Drukpa Kagyu tradition in Ladakh. Even as Choje Mugzin is the first recorded representative from Bhutan here, the golden period of cross-pollination actually happened when the successive King Neema Namgyal expressed a fresh interest in inviting Bhutanese scholars to Ladakh in 1705.
King Neema Namgyal ने भूटान से एक स्कॉलर को इनवाइट किया. जमगुन गावांग ग्यालसन उनका नाम था. तो जमगुन गावांग ग्यालसन को उन्होंने यहाँ लद्दाख इनवाइट करने के लिए यहाँ से मैसेंजर भेजे, बहुत सारे गिफ्ट भेजे, जैसे ज़फ़रन भेजे.
You can see in Bhutan the tradition that the ceremony, special ceremonies taking place. Saffron tea is served, one of the auspicious items in Bhutan. So that items, the saffron, got really as a gift received from Kashmir and from Ladakh. So that's Ladakh King sent that saffron.
इनवाइट करने के लिए चिट्ठी भी भेजे कि लद्दाख के राजा की तरफ से आपको लद्दाख इनवाइट करते हैं. तो इस तरह से कई बार जाने के बाद जमगुन गावांग ग्यालसन ने लद्दाख आने की इच्छा जाहिर की. फिर इसके बाद जो है वो लद्दाख तशरीफ लाए.
It was only apt that masters from Bhutan brought the Kagyupa teachings back to where they originally belonged. It was almost like a reverse dissemination. Bhutanese scholars further helped Ladakh revitalize and rediscover many details from this age-old religious tradition.
When the 17th century, when the Kagyupa masters visited there, they found this is the original place where our really Mahamudra teachings came from there and spread from there. So they thought it's very now pity to see this kind of things here now really degenerating and really this kind of teaching. So that's why they re-established there.
भूटान से बहुत सारे थांका जो है लद्दाख में भी है. आपने देखा होगा क्या कहते हैं स्टगना मोनास्ट्री में भूटान के थांका जो है वो अवेलेबल है और वहाँ पे प्रिजर्व रखा है.
Those Thangkas paintings were sent or painted in Bhutan and consecrated in Bhutan and dispatched to that monastery. So that after that Thangkas and statue, that Lama told me that never really is not allowed to take outside of that shore. If they really take it out, that statues and Thangka paintings of Mahakala, Mahakali and raven-headed paintings, there will be disastrous.
These great masters have established so many temples and monasteries in Ladakh, and so over the period there was this growing relation between Ladakh and Bhutan.
다 베시템 살로랑 같이 보아친 공기 숭컵 좀 집에 파춘 대 최디디 봐 온나니 룽나니 최나니 다 라다기미 마차와루 레샬루 나누바 대 라다게비기 같이 모서 와친 마치빈 최니브 좀지 숭컵 좀지 울하 좀 집에 진집에 나라봐 대들은 로팔레 쫌맹알레 코기 다 체기로나 룰레람 파 슈미숲 롱아라 쭈쿠베 종시디베 또 코레기 남자체 파자 텐디기 됨로 다디베 delosuma tuku phale chöndibe dare tanar muchi seyo ba phalu an khogi chamgengwa gi tuku mu.
From here on, the Drukpa Kagyu order began to flourish independently in Ladakh, adopting a life and soul of its own. However, Bhutan continued to remain a source of inspiration for those who wish to conserve their exceptional religious heritage.
Ladakh singinamgegi na molamidi kachilo Ladakh nimanamgegi na masha ani sejben te phale su chamgengwa ge sigi kiwon na duluchen gelobe loshumana gi jikim.
Actually, he was a prince, but then he really climbed up to really 4 lopins. You know, 4 lopin is very senior monks in Bhutan. 4 lopins, a very high ranking, is equal to a minister, I think. And then after that, and he climbed, he became a Jekempo, the Lord Abbot of the country.
I think there has been exchanges, which was both ways. Of course, Ladakhis came, and then also many Bhutanese went and saw how Buddhism was practiced there and how the Ladakhi culture was evolving and developing and getting preserved.
Now people have even gone beyond that. For example, like if you look at the Delhi University, they offer Buddhist courses, and there have been some Bhutanese who have been pursuing their PhD, masters and PhD courses in some of these Indian universities.
Ndele saluta ta tosel muchibu ta kongi chaishu michini chuyam chile jemi chidinga chiragi chulu bagaji chulu chibe de chile malu shedani be bombe mewa tani bindigi na chapana zbachinchi.
I am born in Ladakh in 1986, and then when I was 18 years old, then my guru, His Holiness the Gyaltsen Drukpa, he decided to send me to Bhutan. I'm very glad and very happy to be here in Bhutan through many reasons. And then if I tell you the basic reason, one of the basic reason is that, main reason is that here I think I will never get this kind of teacher and this kind of master like we have in Bhutan.
Nga mingla padma phalasagi te ngaral so hesa de rupa ka yu in pas latakla rupa ka yu de nga so phayula yu rupa ka yu de te nga so na tupthawrim bu nga so phayula ju yala te nga so ko khong loma che nga so chawe lama che de te ge te lama ge te pa che de na ndula yo te chilu ha ta chita guru bu che ge dan sa te lama ka ra ge dan sa ndula te za chimo ne zangbo guru rinpoche dan tene chize sho nga son rupa ka yube lama ka jintuwa rinpoche ke dan sa cha ja be de nan te za chimo imbe.
Even though the basic tenets and teachings in the two regions are absolutely the same, what is interesting is that over the years, the religious traditions and practices have developed their own distinctive traits in each country. By borrowing from their respective local traditions and ethnicity and adapting to local conditions.
The Bhutanese masters adopted so many new things which were associated with our culture and tradition. And so over the years, the practice itself, the religious ceremony itself, though we share the same text, came out to be different, typically different.
There will be lots of elements of really invoking blessings of the local deities, invoking blessings of also some of the tutelary deities which are uniquely Bhutanese.
In Ladakh, they are having their own local deities when they perform pujas.
In Bhutan, we rely too much on ritual practice. And by using all these kinds of practices and musical instruments, we get to stabilize our mind. We get closer to the essence very fast. These are used as catalysts. A simple thing like using a bell and vajra. The bell actually is the relative truth. The vajra is the absolute truth. When we keep the bell and vajra in front of us, we actually keep it on the wrong direction. And then when the time comes to use it, we cross our hand to pick the instruments. There is this union, signifies the union of the two truths.
It is this cultural treasure shared by the two regions that seems to contain all the wisdom of the human race. It is not for no reason that Ladakh is one of the few lands that assures personal liberation, and Bhutan, one of the only lands that holds the promise of an earthly paradise. It is only here that one can perhaps again open the door whose key has been lost. That elusive Shangri-La that mankind searches exists here.